Witness after witness related their version of events at Eskom during the period when state capture is said to have taken place. Jabu Mabuza, Snehal Nega, Johan Bester, Machela Koko, and many others took turns on the witness stand. During all their testimonies, one name came up time and time again: Tegeta. Tegeta is a Gupta-linked company at the center of the majority of evidence given on Eskom. On 22nd February 2019, then Eskom chairperson and former acting CEO Jabu Mabuza gave evidence. Mabuza testified that the power utility had suffered financial loss and reputational damage as a result of the guarantee that was offered to Tegeta. Mabuza told the commission that procurement was at the root of the corruption at the power utility.
Eskom, yes, did suffer financially if nothing else. The amount of guarantee fees totaling to just around 650,000 or so that it had to pay per quarter whilst the guarantee was still in place. Eskom took a decision that we're not going to give 1.6 billion to the supplier, but we are prepared to provide a supplier with a guarantee.
On the first 3 days of March 2019, the Commission continued to hear Eskom-related evidence. During this time, procurement procedures at the power utility came into sharp focus. On the stand, Eskom's funding execution specialist, Shweni testified that former Eskom executive Anoj Singh had allegedly signed a document with China's Hurong Energy Africa. The document was reportedly signed against legal advice and before the utility could seek a request for proposal.
On inquiry from Andre, he said Anoj told them, as I said initially, that we must go and present this to the IFC. That is when I was explaining why the ALCO could not have been presented. So the submission was a mandate to negotiate and conclude, and then IFC gave us the mandate just to negotiate and said, but not conclude.
Procurement was again at the center of Eskom's head of finance in the primary energy division, Snehal Nega's testimony. Nega told the commission about how the rules were bent in order to ensure that a 1.6 billion rand prepayment was made to Tegeta as quickly as possible.
You've got 2 to 3 hours to do this thing. The board tender committee has approved it. We didn't get into the details of the transaction itself. It was more about we were going to forward you the details of the transaction and then you would effect it.
Eskom's former fuel supply manager, Johan Bester, testified that he was out under pressure to secure a coal supply contract with Tegeta.
My intention was not corrupt, and I may have not followed up on that specific conditions, but there were processes in place that should have ensured that happened. Yes, and then in particular, what should have happened is that if that contract had been managed, and you've been through that in the previous few days, had that contract been managed as it was signed, bar the provision that the burn test hadn't been done for the blend, the coal qualities and the price and the delivery mechanisms, everything else, had that been contractually performed on, there should not have been any reason for fraud to be committed.
Fast forward to 10 June 2021, when former Glencore CEO Clinton Efron took the stand. Efron told the commission that Eskom forced Glencore to sell as it was operating at a loss. He said the company found itself at the mercy of the power utility at the time. Efron had maintained that there was no intentions to capture Eskom by his company. During his time on the witness stand, former board chair Zola Tsotsi covered the multi-million contract between Gupta-owned TNA Media and Eskom. He also implicated a number of people in the awarding of contracts and interference. Tsotsi told the commission that the TNA Media contract was already in place prior to his arrival. It was renewed twice during his tenure. He revealed that he only became aware of the irregularities of that contract through a whistleblower. Tsotsi accused former Eskom acting CEO Colin Machila of opening the procurement doors for Gupta-linked companies. He alleged that former President Jacob Zuma had interfered in the operations of the Eskom board. Tsotsi also told the commission that the former Public Enterprises Minister, Lynn Brown, was taking instructions from the Gupta family.
It became clear to me that she seemed to be fulfilling other interests. And so I took it that she was acting at the behest of someone else. And I certainly took it that at the end of the day, she is imposing this list on the board.
When former Eskom executive and CEO Koko took the stand, he denied having a personal relationship with the Gupta family and its associate Salim Essa. Koko's name had come up numerous times in previous testimonies.
It angers me if that is indeed the case. I received this WhatsApp email address from after my suspension of 2015 from Mr. Daniels. And Mr. Daniels, I met him, I was unsuspended on the 16th of July. I met her before the 20th.
Eskom has reportedly lost about 1.6 billion rand to state capture. Nothando, Magudulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.